Hey, what's up, everyone? Got a YouTube video. It's happening right now. But if you're watching this in the future, it's already happened, and I'm sure the video's probably pretty good. So I wanted to kind of go through my comic pages. I've got all my original comic pages for CULL #2 here, which I just released the other day. Not too long ago. If you're interested in the comic, you want to know where you can get it, all that information will be in the description below the video, so you can find it. So yeah, I hope you're all doing very, very good. I know I've only been uploading like arts and farts and stuff. I've been pretty busy lately. I'm getting ready to move, which is a really, really good thing, and I'm very, very happy about it. But it's kept me occupied, for sure. But yeah, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So no drawing today, but I'm going to talk about my comic. I'm going to talk a little bit about the story, some of the details that you can kind of like, because I like to put like all sorts of like little clues and stuff and little details in the comic. So talk about some of that stuff and, you know, kind of like whatever comes to mind while I'm looking at these pages. And I hope you enjoy looking through them with me. So I've got the cover here for CULL #2. And if you've seen the covers for #0 and #1, it's kind of like the same composition where we've got like the guts on the side, like, you know, big, dark, ominous background, and a figure in the middle. And I really like that motif from the first cover that I did. I really, really love that drawing of CULL with the helmet on. So I wanted to like keep that motif. So I think I'm going to pretty much continue doing it like this. This like compositional style. And if you lay all the books out next to each other, they're going to look really cool, I think, side to side. But I wanted to draw Ruse because I've already drawn CULL on the cover twice, and Ruse plays a little bit bigger role in this comic. He played a big enough role in the #1, but you get to see him in action. You get to see this grizzled old dude doing what he does best and what he enjoys doing most. And he's like, you know, kind of on fire a little bit, covered in blood, and he's still like just staring you down. He's a fun character. He's like a badass grandpa who's like, you know, super strong and supportive, but he can also like kick butt. Plus he's just like a good dude. Like he's funny, and he's like a father figure to CULL. So definitely wanted to give him some time in the spotlight. So there he is on the cover. Ruse, love that dude. One of my favorite. I love all my characters, but I really love him especially. I hope you guys like him too. So all right, so this is the first page. This kind of like shot, I wanted to do an establishing shot of the rooftop because they're on top of a roof. They're about to go down into the building. CULL and Ruse here, they're all suited up. At the end of #1, if you haven't read it, it ends with CULL preparing for a mission and meeting up with Ruse. So here they're doing their final preparations before they head inside the building. And it's like an abandoned apartment building, basically, like a big, you know, like 10-story apartment building. And it's been abandoned for a while, so I wanted to make it look like, you know, dilapidated, like nobody was taking care of it. And you just got stuff lying all over the place, you know, like vents are dripping and stained. So yeah, they're about to go inside. It's gonna be fun times. For them. Fun times. All right, and so now we got Mr. Meatball Head here. Oh, I love this dude. He's really fun to draw. Interestingly enough, this was actually going to be the first page of the comic, because for #1, I kind of did the same thing of that like mysterious sequence with all the like creatures and stuff, and like I didn't want to open it the exact same way as I opened the last one, so I decided to put that page in first. And I actually added that page after I had done all the thumbnails, but we got something ominous here. So they're on the roof, and then it cuts to this, and you got Mr. Meatball Head, like, you know, crying in the dark or whatever, doing spooky stuff. He's a spooky guy, something like that. So, all right, this is actually, I really, really like this page. The next few pages I'm actually really, really proud of. I put a lot of work into these. You know, there's lots of little details here that you can see, like all of the like heads-up displays, like little hologram things that she's looking at. It's all like somewhat relevant to what's going on. Like if you remember at the end of #1, you see that giant creature in the sky. This is kind of like that in the background, his like tentacle. You got a mapping of all the floors here. You got roof, 10th floor, 9th floor. And this is like a radar. So if you've seen like the Alien movies, or they have that radar with like the thing that you can see little things going like boop, like moving up it. That's kind of what I wanted to do for that. So it's like kind of like scanning the area, and you've got like pictures of people. So if you look closely in this comic, like throughout, you'll see like pictures of people like in their heads up displays, and that's the information they're getting of like people that have been spotted in the area, because in this future, everyone is tracked all the time and everything is surveilled to keep everyone safe, if you know what I mean. So they have pictures of people that have been sighted in the area so that if they see a person, they'll be able to recognize them. This is a little bit of foreshadowing here. If you've actually like looked at some of the pages of the comic, you'll kind of get what happens later. But this is actually a map of a satellite over a planet. And we've got like a side view of the building here, vitals, her vital levels. And then we've got like a full-on map of the building that she's looking at to get the layout. And we've got some more of that here. And they're just talking. I'm not going to be reading through much of the dialogue unless it's, like really important. But basically all they're talking about is the fact that the building has been abandoned. And in the last survey, it said there was no one inside, but there was a report that there was a creature that they had to deal with inside. So they were sent to go check it out. But the last time it was surveyed was a few weeks ago. So some things may have changed since then. And here you can see what I was talking about, where it's like pictures of people. You can see those like there, and you still got the globe and stuff back here and floor layout. So I'm kind of like trying to keep it consistent, but also make it look like as she's talking, she's like going through different screens and like moving them around and like getting different displays. It's a very like active heads-up display system, because it's all controlled by their helmets, so it's basically like wired directly into their brain. So yeah, you got the last surveys 3 weeks ago. I really love this page. This is one of my favorites. I think it just like flows really nice. And I really like showing the shots inside the helmet. So, you see the characters and they've got their helmets on. They look all badass. But you also got to see inside and see that they're just normal people in there. And she's got this is kind of like, she can see all of the display panels around her, like around her body, but it's really kind of like displaying within the helmet and like within her eyesight. So it's kind of like being projected in a weird way. But yeah, I really love doing that, like inside the helmet look. It's really fun. So like they're talking here, and it's also kind of like, I think it's important to let you know like how the dialogue works, like kind of giving you little hints. Because in my comic, the dialogue is basically in like, if you imagine it as like text chat, like instant message, like so you have like CULL here, so C, and that's what she says, R, that's what Ruse is saying. So regardless of where you're at, whether you're in the helmet, out of the helmet, they're in the action, you always know who's talking and when. That way, like I can show like big wide action shots without having to have like the little tail speech bubbles, because those really annoy me. I don't like doing those because they always seem to like get in the way of what I actually want to draw and what I want you to look at. So they're like, this is my little hint that like while they're talking within the helmets, it's like a radio, like a direct communication. So like you see the speech box for CULL right next to CULL while she's talking inside the helmet, and the speech box for Ruse right next to him while he's talking inside the helmet. So it's like a little like, kind of like easing you into it. If you haven't read my comics before, it's like, all right, this is how the dialogue works. It's kind of weird, but I'll help you out. So they're getting ready to head in. Yeah, and they like to, one of the reasons I love Ruse so much is he tells awesome jokes and just like bust balls all the time. That's kind of like the relationship they have. So he's always like saying stuff. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to feature Ruse, because you see a lot more on the cover, because you see a lot more of his like personality in this comic. And they go back and forth. They play off of each other. They're like really, really good friends. They've been working together for a long time, and Ruse is like a father figure to CULL. So like it's all in good fun. Like they don't actually hate each other. They just give each other shit. And so you got the more shots of the building here. These ones are a little bit more rough. It's kind of like pulling the detail back. But you got the feed sync and like a little progress bar. So they're syncing their feeds. So when they're within the helmets, they basically get, like I said, a direct connection to their brain for all the data they need. And they're able to see what the other person sees while they're seeing what they see, because it's being like, beamed directly into their brain. And you can kind of see that here, where like this is the feed of Ruse opening the door, and because in the next page you'll see Ruse standing by the door, so you know he opened the door. So it's saying like sync complete. It says 276 terabytes a second. That's a hell of a connection, right? And so she's seeing Ruse's hand right here reaching out to open the door. Yeah, so that's how they work as partners. Is they're a team of two, but they can see two viewpoints at once. They work together really well. So as they're going in, their scanners are like mapping the whole building and seeing what kind of stuff may lie in wait. Anyway, so like this is some of the stuff that I don't really explain, but that as you continue to read the comic, you'll like pick this stuff up with context clues, right? Like the way they talk about like the tags, like code names, because they're like a paramilitary organization, so they use codes rather than talking about stuff out loud because it's like really sensitive information. So when they say the next floor down is BC Jan Charlie, when they say BC and then month abbreviation, that's the format. So BC stands for bogey class. That's what they call the creatures. They call them bogeys. And then the month is like how advanced it is. So they have a month rating system. So January is going to be the most basic bogey, and then going up from February to, et cetera, et cetera. It basically goes up. So they know that when it says BC Jan, they know what type of bogeys they're dealing with. And Charlie is like the severity. So if it's just BC Jan, it means there's just one. And then if it's like BC Jan Alpha or BC Jan Beta, it's not Alpha and Beta, it's the military ones. I have a list. I never remember them because I always have to look them up. So Charlie is like a more severe version. So there's more than one for sure. There's like multiple BC Jans. So that was Meatball Head. He's a January. And so they're going silent. So they're not going to talk anymore. They basically just go off of each other's feeds. She's got like a little mini map because she's mapped out the building for the first couple floors because the scanners can reach through like a floor or two, but not much farther than that through like concrete and metal, The technology is advanced, but it's limited. So here they're just heading down the stairs. I really like this shot. I hate drawing stuff in perspective like this, but it really, I think the payoff was really good. And you can see in their heads-up displays, they're selecting their weapons because their weapons can transform into different functions on the fly. That's why they only take like one or two with them. And so he's selecting the full auto shotgun with suppressor. That's what they're talking about when they're saying going silent. And you can see his clip capacity and like what types of ammo he has. And she's selecting the full auto submachine gun with suppressor. So yeah, they got to go in quiet because these things can hear. You gotta watch out. Watch out. So they're just checking out the building. And I like to add in lots of little details in my comics and like keep them consistent. So if you remember earlier on when I was saying the floors were mapped out, you have had the roof and it goes down from it goes to 10 and then down. So they're on floor 10. And if you look in the comic, I'll point them out, but you'll be able to see like the floor numbers in different scenes, so you know exactly where they are. Keeping it because in movies, what do they call it? It's like a faux pas or something like that, or like a continuity error when they like a pencil is sitting on a desk one way in one scene and in the next scene there's no pencil, like for no reason. I'm very, very particular about like continuity, so I'm always like looking back at my previous pages to like see, make sure like everybody has the correct amount of like grenades and stuff like that. Make sure like blood splatters in the same place. I really enjoyed putting that level of detail into comics. It really makes it fun for me. And so, Cole is stopping Ruse because there's a spooky hole in the floor and it goes down. And remember, she said that the next floor down was BC Jan Charlie. There could be some bad guys down there. What do you think? You see it already. Doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah. They're totally quiet right now, so they're just like looking at each other, communicating. And this is what I was talking about here. You see like the same like light floor marker, and now it says 9F. On the top one just says 10 because there's only room for two characters. So you got 10, then you got 9F. And we got Mr. Meatball Head hanging out down there. That's like a close-up view of his eye. thing, whereas I used to be. And I'm not gonna give you any spoilers about the creatures, but I'll talk about what's happening in this particular comic. Mostly spoiler free. The stuff I'm talking about, I don't want to ruin anything for you. So here we got, she's sweating. She's got a radar up. This says tag update backwards, so it's updating the tag. The tag is the BCJ and Charlie that I was talking about. So it's now that she's on the floor, she's able to see all of the everything that's on the floor. She can fully scan the floor for like organic life forms or whatever. And yeah, so right here is like bogey proximity tags updating. She's got a radar. That dude is like right in front of her, and Ruse is hopping down too behind her. And here you've got like all the information about the thing. So if you look at this really close, like you can kind of like get a few little details, like just a little taste. Like you're updating the tag, it's like authorizing the tag, the department. It's like just little bits of letters. But if you can kind of like put the clues together. Talking about conversion here, stage advanced. That's a brain. That's a brain, and it's showing you exactly where the conversion is coming from. Interesting stuff. I really like doing all this stuff. And then she shoots him in the face. And that's about all that happens in this page. But I really like this shot of CULL here with like just the rim lighting. I think it turned out really nice, if I do say so myself. And he's getting shot here, but he's not dead. Just getting shot in the face isn't enough to bring down Meatball Head. Cool. I hope you guys like this comic. I put a lot of work into this. This is gonna be probably a longer video, but I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you make it all the way through, I love you. Thank you very much. So this is a nice page. I really like this one. Spent a lot of time on it. Got another shot inside the helmet. You see CULL. She's all surprised and she's sweating. You can see Ruse's feet over here, and her adrenaline levels were kind of going through the roof. So her system is balancing her adrenaline levels for her, because Mr. Giant Meatball Head Man is exploding into a horrible monster right in front of our eyes. So like the little heads up panel in like the previous page that said conversion stage advanced, when that happens, they turn into other things and they grow and they get bigger and more scary. So yeah, now that the proverbial cat is out of the bag, they're gonna go loud. He's got his ammo display here, and he's just gonna light that thing up over her shoulder. And yeah, so it's getting like torn up. And this little, like, you'll notice this from time to time, that little X. That's to tell you when the thing is dead, because they're kind of amorphous, and they have like moving weak points, like a central point that you have to hit them in, because they're based out of the nervous system. And that's all I'm gonna tell you. So there's a little display that comes up when the helmet can read that it's dead, so they know, because otherwise it's kind of hard to tell. So yeah, they're just shooting the thing, and then Ruse tells CULL that there's movement to the east, and she already knows that because she's got her radar open and all of that. And so she's gonna pop around the corner. Meatball Head's dying in the background, and she's shooting up some more dudes. You can see the X's there. So some of them, like, if you one of my biggest inspirations for the creatures is the movie The Thing, from 1982 with Kurt Russell, written by John Carpenter, written and directed by John Carpenter, I believe. Very, very good movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's like sci-fi horror, and a lot of the creatures I draw were very much inspired by that. So like if they're not at an advanced stage, like they're a little bit weaker, and you can take them out a bit easier before they transform. So that's why they have to have all the, like scanning and everything, so they know exactly what's going on. So something's off. CULL hears something. What do you think? You got the tag updates, the clip, you got Ruse talking about stuff. And so she's talking about hearing something. And so in this screen, he's got the audio levels display up, so you can see like, all the noises in the area and like where all the sound is coming from. And so he's not picking up anything strange on his levels, and she's looking at it too. And so whatever she's hearing, it's not registering on their equipment. That's kind of weird. So they'll check that log later and see if it picks up anything strange. Who knows? And now it's party time. And this is like, I thought about this a lot because this transition from them like shooting up things in the hallway to like getting ready to open this door is pretty abrupt. And I thought about putting a page in between these two where they talk about like, oh, there's something in this room, we got to go get it. But I was thinking about it, and like in the context of like they like have a scan of the entire area, they both have a direct like feed of each other, like what they're seeing and what all of their scanners are picking up. They already both know that there's a whole bunch of stuff in this room that they are going to have to deal with. They know exactly where it is because they can see it on their map. So I thought it would be kind of interesting, even if it does seem kind of abrupt, to like just like put you on the same level as CULL and Ruse as far as like moving through these rooms. You're kind of like along for the ride with them. And so he is ready. His gun is transforming into better gun. The vents are active, incendiary rounds selected. He's got 12 of those to fire off, and CULL's about to open the door. Because CULL normally takes point, as you saw earlier in the comic. She normally heads in first, but Ruse carries the heavy artillery. So when it's needed, he's the one that's going to go in first and just kind of mess up everybody's day in there. So this, I mean, I just wanted to draw stuff getting blown up in this scene. So it's like, it's really chaotic, and that's kind of how I wanted it to be. I wanted it like this room to open up and look like it's being lit like just by the incendiary shotgun rounds that he's firing into this huge crowd of creatures, of bogeys. And so it is kind of chaotic. I think it turned out pretty nice. I don't know. Hopefully you like it too. I was really excited to draw this comic because there's a lot more like action and stuff, whereas one was a lot more like, you know, kind of like psychological, I guess, almost. And this is where it's starts getting real. So everything blew up in that room, but it kind of, they like to like when they're threatened, merge together and create giant horrible things. So that's Ruse's view into the room of this like horrible face rising up out of the flames, and you've got a big conversion detected. And TAU might think it's like Tau, but it's actually Tag Auto Update. It's an abbreviation for that. And so he knows he's about to get hit by something. So there's a lot going on in this scene, and if that's why I made the like heads up displays like almost front and center, because they're really kind of key to what's happening. So he's got his little display here. It says orbital support request confirmed with the signal strength. That's a countdown until he's got orbital support. So he just basically automatically put in a request for orbital support, because that thing is huge and they're going to need some help taking it down. And also you see the poly shield active. In number 1 they talk about the poly shield, this thing they wear on their wrists. And I'll talk about that a little bit because I really, really love this like piece of technology that I came up with. And this says like awaiting impact. This is like a feed. And this is the direction that the poly shield is facing. So he knows like when he turns his arm, like there would be like an arrow that like turns, so he knows exactly where it's going to pointing, so it doesn't hit him in the face when it deploys. Basically, it contains like a super dense foam that spreads out of this like disc-shaped thing. It splits open and spreads the foam out in 4 directions, right? And when the foam spreads out and hits air, it hardens and becomes super hard. So it basically is like an instant shield. It'll like deploy a shield, and it's strong enough to be bulletproof and fairly impact proof. So he's getting ready to get hit with something, because they've run into something like this before, and it's never pretty when they do, because that's what's about to come shooting through the door. And so this might be my most favorite page. I have a favorite panel, which I'll tell you because it's coming up next, but this is my most favorite like whole page. I just really like how that turned out. So this thing is basically like barfing tentacles into the hallway, and it's slamming into his shield. Those things are like incredibly strong, so if you get hit with one of those, like you're gonna get broken bones. Like they're really nasty, because you can see it here, like it knocks his gun out of his hand and the gun just like shatters and falls apart. Good thing he's got 2, right? Always be prepared. He's actually got 3, but he's got 2 large transforming rifles and 1 transforming pistol and some grenades. And so this is my favorite panel right here. I posted this one on Instagram because I just like I worked really hard on this panel, and I bounced ideas off of someone that's really important to me, and it was a really good process. And basically I just wanted, like, as these tentacles are like coming through the door, you see the door frame breaking here because this thing is just like crushing against the wall, and CULL is just firing into it with explosive rounds. So you see, like, current. This is like a scrolling marquee, so she sees that it's current and whatever. She's got explosive rounds selected, and she's just firing into this thing, so it's creating like huge bullet holes. It's like the bullet goes in and then it pops, so it's like small explosive rounds because she's got a submachine gun, but it does some pretty good damage. And these things they have blood, but it's like super thick, so it doesn't like spurt out and spray a lot, so it stays in these like big, like thick globs when it gets shot out. So I draw these like dark circles. Plus it's like almost like dark brown, almost black instead of red. But it's all in black and white, so I just give it like that kind of like dark, shading to give it an impact. So this is actually an interesting story. So I drew this whole page and drew this panel down here, and then forgot that there needs to be dialogue in that one because I was just like so into drawing this panel. Ruse here, he's reaching for his other gun because the one just got broken, and he says, "Get clear, we have Orbital." So basically 14 seconds has passed while CULL is firing into this thing, and it's like pouring out into the hallway, and he's reaching for his other gun. He's like, "Get out of the way, we got Orbital support, it's coming in." And so yeah, I forgot to draw the dialogue box on that one, so I just scanned this and like took it in Photoshop and just pasted it on there. I don't normally do stuff like that, but I had to because I forgot, because I'm dumb. So here we've got the Orbital support, and this is the first time you get an idea at all of like exactly what's going on, because in the last comic you saw that giant creature looming over CULL and Ruse, and they're talking about it casually like it's no big deal, and here you see creatures crawling on top of the planet, and it's like affecting the atmosphere and everything. And this is all pencil, so it's all graphite. All the black is, you can see it, it's like shiny. That's all graphite. You can see like every little line that I made. And so I filled it in with black, and then I used a white gel pen to do like a star field. So you've got a satellite here. That was what the display was foreshadowing earlier in the comic. You have this satellite out in space, and it was showing that. So they're aware of like where it is, the fact, in case they need it. So they aligned the satellite, and that thing's gonna do something. I don't know if you've all seen Akira. If you've seen Akira, you might get a good idea of what's about to happen. So this is it's a laser beam. It's a giant laser beam, and it's gonna burn straight through the roof of the building to the bogey that Ruse has targeted and requested the orbital support. So that was what the orbital support request was for an orbital laser strike that's just going to cut through this building. And it's all cool, it's all confirmed because it's an abandoned building. There's only horrible monsters inside, so they don't really care if they burn it up. They know they need it. But that's why they have people like watching the operation at all times, so people know the people at the home base know exactly what's going on in the operation while it's happening, so they can say, "Oh, he's put in a request for orbital support," and they're like, "Yeah, he needs it. Okay, we'll confirm that." And so this is the scene where it's burning through the roof right next to CULL, and like everything's on fire, everything's burning. When I was drawing this scene, like I just wanted it to look like there was a giant mass of flesh that was being burned through. Like nothing really discernible, but just so you can get an idea of like how much of it there is when this thing is like barfing out tentacles. And so her feed is desynced because the laser blast right next to her, it's like the electromagnetic effect from the laser has desynchronized her feed just momentarily, but it's just like a warning. And so this is like the flesh mass here, and I looked up some pretty like nasty pictures of like burnt flesh and stuff, so I could get an idea of like how to draw it with like the burnt edges and like yeah. And so that's all that is exploding right next to her. It's fun, exploding stuff. So yeah, that's like a nod to Akira. That's like one of my favorite movies when like the laser comes in. Anyway, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it. And so here we've got, this super cute monster right here. He's been kind of burned up by the laser, and he's still like barfing out some tentacles. But I really love this scene because like there's this giant horrible monstrosity like right behind CULL, and she's like hiding behind rubble because that laser tore through the entire room, and she's just like, hey, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm on fire, but it's fine. Ruse, I love Ruse because he's old, but he's like, he just gets excited when like cool stuff happens, like when he gets lit on fire and like stuff explodes. You've seen that if you read number 1, you remember the scene in the hospital where Ruse is like gushing over the fact that CULL blocked the grenade explosion with their poly shield, and so he's just like on fire, and he's fine. He's all burnt up, but he's got a new gun now, so it's really like no big deal to him. So he like barely even addresses it. He's just talking about taking down a May. So if you remember that I told you that Jan was for January, you got January, February, April, May. So that's number 4 in severity of bogeys. And she's got blood all over her face from when she was shooting the thing. And his helmet is actually extinguishing the flames on his jacket. It like shoots out like fire extinguisher stuff. So he's fine. But yeah, Big Monster Man is turning away from them. So they're like on the edge of the room, like the wall that they were looking into. And that's all that's left. So the laser and the creature transforming took out like the whole side of the building. So they should probably get out of there pretty soon. But yeah, so they're saying they got 2 minutes until the next orbital window, if they need to hit that thing again, because it is not dead. And they're oh, Ruse. He just like makes a game out of it. It's like it's his passion, hunting these things. He really enjoys it. What a crazy guy, am I right? So he's all burnt up and stuff, and he's ready to go after it. So he's got no more guns on his back, but he's got his pistol, and he's got a new rifle. So they're kind of like ready to rock and roll, you know. And like this is kind of hinting the fact that like it's opening up to the cityscape. So like they're kind of still standing in this like ruined building, but it's opened up because it's been blasted by the laser. And so here we've got the last page. I'm really proud of this page. I think it turned out really good. I wanted to show like a wide shot of this thing like pulling out of the building with like fire and wreckage, and you can see like really how big it is, because it goes like down through the building, like while it was barfing tentacles out, it was like spreading through the hallways and like going down through the building, and just forms this like huge, like, you know, it's basically like 9 stories tall, because they're on the 9th floor, right? So it's like a 9-story tall monster. And we have a certain robot lady just hanging out on the rooftop here, right across from them. You got little CULL and Ruse like standing on the side of the ruined building, and she's watching them. You can see on her heads-up display, she has a direct feed to what they're talking about. That's why I've got the speech bubbles here, because she can see everything that they're seeing, and she can hear everything that they're saying. So she's like on their signal. That's basically what that's hinting at. And as you can see, she's had some work done to her face. Her whole jaw is mechanical, and the whole side of her head. So yeah, if you've been looking forward to seeing more of this character, I call her the badass robot lady, just because I can't reveal her actual name yet, and she doesn't. She's a big secret. So next issue should be fun. This is the last page of this one. So this is definitely kind of like a different video for me, and I've got my back cover here. So we've got Mr. May right here, and I wanted to draw like, because I pretty much just draw like the top of his head and like kind of his shoulders in the comic, so I wanted to like draw out more of him to give you like a little bit of a tease as to what he like really looks like. So here he's you know, just got all of his tentacles, and it's like all kind of like coming together, and you know, not perfect, because when these things transform, like when they're threatened, it's not a very clean transformation. It's kind of just like violent and all over the place, and they kind of just get bigger by just, you know, barfing intestines all over the place, you know, tentacles, all that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I know it's been a longer video of me just kind of like talking and stuff, but I really like to talk about the comics, and there's so many little details that like I really hope people notice. So like if you keep a close eye out in my comics, especially in number 1, there's a lot of stuff to see too. You can kind of like piece bits of the story together, you know. I want you to get like the full experience. That's how I like to write. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, but I had fun, so I hope you did too. Thanks for watching and all that. You know, you guys know that I couldn't do this sort of thing without your support. So thank you very, very, very much. And if you're interested again in picking up this comic, you can go to the description to find links. I have it on both Gumroad and Big Cartel. Right now, I'm doing like a physical pre-order, so you can, by buying a copy on Gumroad or Big Cartel, you're basically reserving your copy. The comics are getting printed right now, and as soon as they're done, probably in like a week or 2 weeks at the most, I'll be shipping them out to everyone. If you don't want to do that, you can also get a digital version on Gumroad. The digital version is only $1, $1, and you get both a PDF file and a set of JPEGs in like a zip file that you can, you know, load onto your phone, or you can print it out. You can do whatever you want with it. So yeah, it'd be really cool if you pick that up, because like I said, couldn't do this kind of thing without people like you. And there's also a new thing. If you've bought my comics before, there's a new thing on Gumroad and Big Cartel. If you select the options, you can select to pay $10 more and get a hand-drawn postcard. It'd be like this size, like a 4x6. You get a hand-drawn postcard with your comic book. I'll just slip it inside and mail them both to you. So you can select that option too if you want a little piece of hand-drawn art from me. Probably going to be something CULL related. So yeah, check it out. And thanks for watching, guys. You know I love each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you like this type of video and you want to see more, you know, stuff like this, just me like kind of like talking about my thoughts and processes and all of that junk, definitely let me know, because I'd like to make some more stuff like this. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Gonna say it again. I'll see you next time. Bye.